Hello everyone, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Alchemy Ias Ncert live session. In this session, we will continue with our Civics Ncert 6th standard chapter 7 that deal with rural livelihoods. In the previous sessions that we have covered the chapter like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. The last two was with respect to urban administration. The next chapter that we have within the 6th standard Ncert in civic Indian polity, that is with respect to rural livelihood. So, in this session we can explore what are the content provided in this particular chapter and how this chapter is relevant for our exam perspective. When you read this chapter title rural livelihood, directly there will not be any specific questions in prelims examination, but rather in general studies paper 2 we have a syllabus called as social justice or issues related to the rural development or village development. In that aspects we can expect the government intervention for ensuring a better livelihood for the rural areas, or even in some essays that we can expect a question with respect to developmental aspects including rural areas and urban area. In these aspects this chapter will help in understanding the way the problem that the rural village areas, the people in the rural areas are facing. So, in this chapter it specifically focus how people in the rural areas are earning in their living, especially how they are sustaining their life through earning and what are the livelihood opportunities are available to these people in rural areas. These aspects and their problems are covered under this particular chapter. We will start with the paragraph that they have given in this particular chapter. We will start and go through each chapters in paragraph base. We will read it. So, in order to explain how the people in rural areas are earning their living in order to sustain, it has given an example in a particular region in India, that is Kalpattu village, which is located in Tamil Nadu regions. By giving certain examples of particular region and the people, the characters, the people in these examples that in this village, the examples are how they are earning, what are the areas, activities which they are involved. Predominantly we know that in rural areas the predominant work most of the time they will be engaged in the farming or farm related activities. And some cases other than the farming activity they also involved in the non-farming activity. So, when you go through this chapter we can also understand the what are the farming and non-farming activities that the village people are involved. So, before we start I have given a categorization of the here based on this chapter. The people in rural areas will be engaged with the two types of work which they mostly will be involved. That is, one we can say that the farming related work, farming work. So, like sowing, which is mean by planting the seeds in an area, weeding, that is removing any unwanted plant in this particular farming area, then finally harvesting, that is collecting the crops, transplanting, moving the plants, then similarly preparing sapling, spraying pesticide, that is to prevent any pesticide happen to these plants. Similarly, then grazing cattle, taking care of animal. These are the activities that some people in rural areas will be involved, as we can say that the farming related work. Then non-farming work that the people in the rural areas will be involved, like other than the farming activities, making baskets, repairing cycle, washing clothes, then running small shops, it can be tea shop, working as a blacksmith, construction related work, some people will be involved in that. Similarly, driving the trucks, lorries, these are the activity that the people in the rural areas usually will be involved. So, these are the types of the work that we can see in rural areas in India. So, in order to explain this, they have given some examples of the people in some region here. The example that they have given in this chapter is a Kalpattu village of Tamil Nadu regions. So, Kalpattu is a village that very close to the sea coast in Tamil Nadu. People here do many kinds of work, as in other village here too there is non-farm work, that is such as making baskets, utensil, pots, bricks, block carts, these are the etc. the activities which we consider as non-farm work with the people in this region, in this village which they are involved in. Then there are people who provide services like blacksmith, then nurses, teachers, washerman, weavers, barber, cycle repair mechanics and so on. There are also some shopkeepers and traders. So, here in this paragraph trying to give us an example of what are the non-farm activities the people in the rural areas are involved and how they are earning a sustainable livelihood through these activities. In the main streets which look like a bazaar, you will find a variety of small shops such as tea shop, grocery shop, barber shop, a cloth shop, a tailor and 2 fertilizer and seed shop. There are 4 tea shop which sell tiffins such as idli, dosha, upama, depending upon the geographical condition of that village. So, this is the we have studied earlier also in diversity chapter. So, depending upon the geography of that region, they will be having different food habit and culture. So, morning they snack like vada, bonda and Mysore pak in the evening. So, near the tea shop in the corner lives a blacksmith's family whose home services as a their workshop, and next to their home is a cycle hire and repair the shop. 2 families earn a living by washing clothes. There are some people who go to this nearby town to work as a construction workers and lorry driver. So, these are the non-farm activities that the people in the rural areas are involved, like driving a truck as a like blacksmiths, construction related work. They also involved in the repairing of the cycle. These are the activities that we can take from this particular chapter. Village is surrounded by low hills. Paddy is the main crop that is grown in the irrigated land. So, in this area mainly the rice cultivation is mostly involved, paddy cultivation is the predominant the crop which they cultivate, and in an irrigated land most of the family earn a living through this agriculture, the farm activity. Now, connecting to the farm activity the people are involved. There are some coconut groves around, cotton, sugarcane and plantain are also grown there, and there are mango orchards. Then let us now meet some people who work in this field in Kalpat and see what we can learn about the farming from them. So, now in order to explain the farm related activities, they are going to give an examples of the people, specifically some examples are given and how they are working and what are the activities, the work they are involved in and how they earn their money. So, starting with the Tulasi. Tulasi, the character Tulasi here and describing her story. So, all of us here work on Ramalingam's land. So, they are working in a Ramalingam's land. He has 20 acres. So, this is a story which they tells, that is how the Tulasi is explaining how she is earning and how she is sustaining her life through these livelihoods. So, all of us here work on a Ramalingam lands. So, he owned like 20 acre of property which there is a cultivation of paddy. So, paddy field is owned by Ramalingam. So, she worked there in Kalpat region. Even before I was married, I used to work in a paddy field in their parental village, and I worked from 8:30 to in the morning, from morning until 4:30 in the evening. So, that is and here Karundamma, Ramalingam's wife, also supervise her. So, it is a property owned by Ramalingam, it is a farm activities that she was involved, and the wife of Ramalingam supervised her work in that field. So, this is how she explained and how she was involved in this farm activity, what are the work they do. This is one of the few times in year that I find regular work. Now, I am transplanting the paddy. When the plants have grown a bit, Ramalingam will call us again for weeding, and then finally we once again harvesting. So, these are the farm activities: harvesting, weeding, transplanting the paddy. These are the farm related activities work the people in the rural areas will be involved. So, here example was given the work done by the Tulasi. So, when I was young, I could do this work with no difficulty, but now as I grow older, I find bending for the long hours with my feet in water will be very painful. So, now because of she getting older, so she is having many physical issues in doing the same job that she was very easily done in the earlier period. So, this conflict is also the health issue that she faced due to becoming an older. So, Ramalingam pays rupees 40 per day. So, this is the wage that she gets through doing the job. So, that is very less wage when we compare with the actual payment that they should get. So, this also she is explaining that the wage that she get in doing this kind of job in Ramalingam field, that is maximum rupees 40 per day. So, these are little less than what a labor get in my home village, but I come here because I can depend on him to call me whenever there is a work. Unlike others, he does not go looking for a cheaper labor. So, already when the cheaper labors are available, so this is a problem that they discuss, they are paid in lesser wage. The reason is that one is there is availability of cheaper labor, so it can lead it to like loss of the job. So, another thing is less bargaining power among these sections, these people in the rural area. This is the reason that they are getting very less paid in this kind of work which they are involved. Then she is also explaining about her member in their family. So, my husband Raman is also a labor and we do not own any land. So, she also explained that we do not have any ownership of the land, we are a part of landless family, we are people in the rural area without having any ownership of the land. And my husband he also do not have any ownership of the land. During this time of the year, he sprays the pesticide, and when there is no work on this field in the farm related activity, then he find work outside, either loading sand from the river or stone from the quarry nearby. So, he will be involved in the kind of activities like sanding, sand loading, truck related work, construction related work. Similarly, quarry nearby that region, the person will be involved in that kind of works. So, sometimes this is a street by truck to be used in the nearby towns to make houses. So, this is the way that the husband in this family earn a living, and that helped their life and their income, that generate an income. With that income they were able to sustain their life. So, this is what explained in this paragraph. Apart from the working on the land, I do all tasks at home as well. I cook food for my family, clean the house and wash the clothes. So, this is she explained other than the farm related activities. Once the farm related activities are over, then she will go back to home and she usually do the household related work, that is including cooking of the food and also cleaning the house and washing the cloth. All these are the work will be done by the Tulasi, because our rural area, when you observe, mostly are patriarchal. So, here the role has been divided according to gender. Mostly the household work are performed by the women and will be completely done by the women in these particular sections of the society in rural area. She also explained that aspects. Then she also go with other women, again other kind of work that she do. I go with other women to the nearby forest to collect firewood particularly for cooking purpose. 1 kilometer away we have a village and borewell from where I fetch water. So, there is no direct access to water. So, they have to travel 1 kilometer far from their residence, and then from this public well they will also collect water. This is also the work that she do other than the farm related activities. Moving on. So, here you can understand with this all the work that she has done, going to the forest for collecting the firewood and also collecting the water from the borewell, she has not paid, she is not getting any payment for that, any wage out of that. So, without any payment, without any wage that she generate, only she is doing, most of the time she is engaged with that kind of activities. Our school going daughter are our joy of our life. So, the aspiration that they have, only the future that they want to work for, mainly for their daughter. So, school going daughter they have, and one of them fell ill and had to taken into the hospital in town. When she was sick, she had to be taken into the hospital, and we had to sell our cow to pay back the money that we borrowed from Ramalingam for their treatment. So, even for any hospital expenditure, so they have to spend a lot of money. So, that much money may not be available at a particular point of time, then they will borrow the money from the Ramalingam and later they have to pay back the money. So, to pay back the money, even they have sold the cow which they have in their house. So, later that they sold for the treatment of their daughter. So, this also she explained, that is, these are the economic challenges that they face, the financial issues which the vulnerabilities that the Tulasi face in their village. As you saw the Tulasi story, poor family in rural area often spend a lot of time every day collecting firewood, getting water and grazing their cattle. Even though they do not earn any money from this activity, they have to do them for the household. The family needs to spend time doing this as they are not able to survive on the little money they earn. So, this is describing the condition that they have. They are all facing like poverty situations and lack of a stable income to sustain their livelihood. So, nearly 2/5 of all rural families are doing agriculture work, agriculture labors in our country. So, there are some who have some small plots of land while others like Tulasi are landless. So, here also describing the issue, majority in rural area does not have an ownership of the land, they are mostly landless people. Only few of them will have an ownership of small plots, very limited area, maybe small farmers. But like very like few of these sections, few of the people in the rural area is owning a large amount of area, large areas, large lands. So, not being able to earn money throughout the year forces the people in many rural areas to travel long distance in search of work. So, this is the reason that they are migrating from the rural area into urban area or the nearby area for like earning something, to do some job, for searching in a work, searching for a job. They are migrating from their own village to another region is the reason that one reason they do not have any land ownership, another thing they do not have any way to earn an income generations. Later that is the reason that other than the farm related activity, because agriculture is mostly season, in a one particular season they may not have any other way in order to generate an income. So, they usually end up in like migrating from one village to another village or from rural to urban area. So, this issue is also described here. Then the next example is given here is the story of Shegar. So, Shegar's story start here and describing the story here. We have to carry this paddy to our house. So, here the Shegar has an ownership of the small plot. So, the family is also in this, his family is also involved in the farming related activity, but a small plot that they have an ownership. So, we have to carry this paddy to our house. My family has just finished. My family just has finished the harvesting our field and we do not own much of the land, only 2 acres. So, we have seen in the previous paragraph that is Ramalingam in their village as an ownership of the 20 acre, that is a large area. But here in Shegar's story you know that he has only, the family has only ownership of the only 2 acre. We managed to do all the work on our own. So, they were not able to hire any workers or any laborers because that much does not, they do not have sufficient income now. So, they will do all the work in their own. So, that is also explained by Shegar in the story. At a time, especially during the harvest, I take help of other small farmers and in turn help them harvest in their field. So, other than this they will also involved in the other activities, other farm related activities outside their plots. So, traders gave me seeds and fertilizer as through the loan. So, they will take through the option of the loan, they will go to the traders and they will get the seeds and fertilizers like this way. So, traders will give them the seeds and fertilizer like in terms of a loan and they have to pay back that loan. Since they have to pay back that loan, then the Shegar have to had to sell this paddy to them at a lower price than what they would get in the markets. So, since they have to pay back money to these traders, so they will be having an agreement that they have to sell these all the seeds, the crop that they generated, the paddy, whatever they generated. So, it has to be sold to the market, it has to be sold to the traders only because of the reason that they have to pay back the money. So, what are the price it fixed by between them? So, it will mostly will be lower price, at the lower price they will sell this to the persons who already given the seeds and fertilizer. So, this is a condition they are bound to follow the interest of the money lenders, the traders which they have given the money in order to do this kind of farm related activity. This is also the difficulty which they face when they do not have sufficient income, maybe due to some like natural calamities issues or due to monsoon related deficit of rainfall. This also sometimes affect their cultivation or paddy. So, this is the reason that finally they end up in kind of debt crisis, or they will take lot of money from these money lenders. So, they have to pay back their money. So, that reason that finally they will end up in selling this kind of paddy in a at a lower price. That is also explained by Shegar in this paragraph. I will probably get 60 bags of the paddy from my field. Some of this I will sell to settle the loan, the rest will be used in my home, but whatever I have will last only for 8 months. So, I need to earn some money and I work in Ramalingham's rice mill. So, after this, because with this income Shekhar may not be able to sustain, so he preferred to go for another work and they will work at the rice mill, that is again another under the ownership of the Ramalingam. So, another rice mill in that village is also owned by Ramalingam. So, the Shekhar also goes there and work there. So, here I help him collect the paddy from other farmers in the neighboring village. We also have a hybrid cow whose milk we sell in the local milk cooperative. So, also involved with the selling of the milk in a cooperative, that the milk cooperative societies. This way we get little extra money for our everyday needs. So, this explanation of the Shekhar story, that is actually the Shekhar, their family and his family has an ownership of the 2-acre land and they are involving some kind of farm related activities, but they cannot do it by generating like hiring lot of workers and laborers, rather they themselves do it, but they may not be able to generate too much income out of that because they do not have money to purchase even seed and fertilizer. So, they will go to traders, and from the traders, by having an agreement over the loan and credit, they will get the seed and fertilizer and they have to pay back the money back to the money lenders or traders. So, they will agree for selling the paddy to themselves to these traders at a lower price, actually that they more than that, higher than that they will get in the markets. So, this is a difficulty that the Shekhar explained. So, that is the reason that other than the farm related activity, he will also go for other related work, then they will go to the rice mill work and they will sell the milk in the milk cooperative, and like this they are earning an extra money in order to sustain their livelihoods. So, here another story that is explained in this paragraph, an issue is explained in this paragraph is related to the debt crisis that a farmer face in our village area. So, on being in debt, as you have read above, very often farmers like Shekhar need to borrow money to purchase basic things like seed, fertilizer and pesticide. Often they borrow this money from the money lenders. If the seeds are not in good quality and the pest attack their crop, then there can be a major crop failure. When such a situation arises, that is a crop failure happen, maybe due to natural calamity or maybe due to any pest came to their like damaging their crop, if depending upon the quality of the crops. Finally, the crops can also ruin the monsoon. Now, the issues that they have given natural factors, the natural disaster we face, like crop can also ruined if the monsoon does not bring enough rain, deficit rains can also resulting into crop failure or damage. When this happens, farmers sometimes unable to pay back their loan that they have borrowed from the money lenders, and for the family to survive, they may even have to borrow more money from other people, and soon the loan become too larger, so large, so that no matter what they are earning, they are unable to repay back. So, even the any ways that they generate, if they try to generate any income out of any activities including farm and non-farm activities, but whatever the income that generate may not be able to pay back the money that they have borrowed from the money lenders. What will happen then? If they are borrowing too much money continuously, this is when we can say that they are caught in debt. They are caught in debt. In recent years, this has become a major cause of distress among the farmer community in India, and in some areas we have seen in the news resulted into many farmers committing suicide. When there is no other option and there is no any waiver in case of the loan that they have taken, finally they end up in committing suicide. So, farmer suicide in India is a serious issue, which is an issue which is mentioned in this paragraph. So, by giving an example of the Shekhar, and through this example they are trying to point out in this paragraph the issues which they face because they do not have sufficient livelihood in the rural areas. Now, next paragraph which is explaining about Ramalingam, the person who owned the 20-acre land area which they cultivate the paddy, and also he is a person on the rice mill there where the Shekhar goes and do the work. So, Ramalingam in the same village Kalpat. So, Ramalingam and Karthamma. In addition to the land, Ramalingam's family also owned a rice mill and a shop selling that seeds and pesticide etc. For the rice mill, they used some of their own money and borrowed from a government bank. So, they also borrow money from the government banking institution, and they buy paddy from within the village and from the surrounding villages, and the rice that is produced in the mill is sold to the traders in nearly the towns. So, they will sell this final produced one into the market and to the traders, and this is how they generate income. So, with this they were able to generate a substantial income for their livelihood. So, here Ramalingam, like the people like Ramalingam and their family are very few member which they own large number of land, like a land holding of the land area will be done by the few sections. So, which kind of the people they were able to generate the maximum income to a substantial income for their livelihood. So, these very few in terms of size, very few people will have this kind of ownership, and they will do this kind of activities to generate income in the rural areas. Now, moving to the next one, an example is given here in a box here with an image illustration, that is the different practice of agriculture farming in a Nagaland districts, in a particular region in a Nagaland districts. In Nagaland states, in a particular regions. So, they have given an example of a type of farming called as terrace farming. So, you can see in this image the land they are divided into different area or plots which is surrounded by these kind of things. So, this is a village called Chaizami, which is in the Fek districts in Nagaland states in northeastern region. The people of this village belong into a particular community named as Shaksang community, and they do terrace farming, terrace cultivation. We will continue. This means that the land on hills slope is made into flat plots and caved into the steps, and the sides of each plot are raised in order to retain the water. So, it requires an irrigation. So, that is the reason that they follow different method in farming. So, this allow the water to stand in this field, and which is best for the rice cultivation, especially that is intensive irrigation is required. So, that is the reason this terrace farming helping them for cultivating rice in their village. So, an example is given in a state of Nagaland in a particular districts here, the Fek districts of the Nagaland. In that region is which is called as Chaizami regions in a particular village. So, people of Chaizami have their own individual field as well, but they also work collectively in each other's field, and they form a group of 6 or 8 and take an entire mountain side to clean the weeds on it. So, each group eats together once their work for the day is over. So, they usually work in a community level group, like they will go together. So, with a community effort they will be involved in the farming activity. The type of farming they do in their village in a Chaizami region of the Nagaland state is terrace farming. That an example is given here. So, different types of farming that you will study in agriculture chapter for the UPSC perspective. So, agriculture laborers and farmers. So, here the next paragraph discuss regarding the agriculture laborers and the farmers in India. Mostly with an example that already given in this particular chapter, and giving kind of a summary point out what are the the way that they generate income, what are the activities which they are involved to earn their livelihood, and what are the problems which they face. So, now we will start from the paragraph here. In Kalpattu village, there are agriculture laborers like Tulasi and many small farmers like Shegar, and a few big farmers like Ramalingam. In India, nearly here some data are given here, that is in India nearly 2 out of every 5 rural families are agriculture laborers families. All of them depend on the work they do on the people field to earn a living in the rural areas. Many of them are landless, like Tulasi, many of them are landless, does not have an ownership of the land, and others may own very small plot of a land. So, they are called as mostly the small farmers like Shegar. But only like Ramalingam, only very few in number big farmers are there also in the rural areas. In case of small farmers, we will go through the paragraph. In case of small farmers like Shegar, their land is barely enough to meet their needs. So, in India 80% of farmers belonging to this group of small farmers. Only 20% of India farmers have like Ramalingam. So, these large farmers cultivate most of the land in the village. A large part of their produce will be sold into the market, and many of them have started other business as well, like shopping, then shop and money lending also provided to the other farmers, trading and small factories. So, these are the other business also like which they will start, especially the people who has a large ownership of the farming land. So, like Ramalingam in India only 20% has this kind of like only 20% of India's farmers are like Ramalingam. So, remaining are mostly either small farmers or landless. So, these are data explaining that the Indian rural society about their ownership of the land and what are the activity which they will be involved. So, we have looked at the farming in Kalpat region. Apart from farming, may people in rural areas also depending upon the collection from the forest, animal husbandry, dairy produce, fishing, etc. So, other than the farming activity, they also involve other non-farming and other related works. Then both the farming collection from the forest are important source of livelihood like collecting mahua, tendu leaves, honey to be sold into trade. So, they will also find other ways of generating an income, earn a living and later they will be able to sustain their life in a rural areas. So, this collecting mahua, tendu leaves, honey to be sold in or bamboo collection etc. the activities that the people in the rural area will be mostly involved. Similarly, selling a milk to the village cooperative society, taking milk to the nearby town may be the main source of livelihood like we have seen in the Shagar case for some family in the coastal areas. So, now giving another example that the people in a coastal region their activity will be different from the other region which depending upon the geographical location which they are living. So, in the coastal region, coastal area we find fishing villages. Let us find out more about the life of a fishing family by reading about Aruna and Parivelan who live in a Pudupet village which is close to Kalpat. So, another village is given here and the character Aruna and Parivelan. So, their stories also will read. So, some image is given also here. So, this is a coastal region where they mostly involved in the fishing activities. So, Aruna and Parivelan not very far from the Kalpat is the village of Pudupet. People here earn their living by fishing. Their houses are close to the sea and one find the rows of catamarans and nets lying around. At about 7 o'clock in the morning, there is a lot of activity on a beach. This is the time when the catamarans return with their catch and women gather to buy and sell fish. So, my husband, then now the character explained, my husband Parivelan, that is Aruna and Parivelan story, my brother and my brother-in-law returned late today. I was very worried. They got to sea together in our catamaran. So, that is like a boat which they have went to the sea for like collecting the fish. So, they usually go very early in the morning, but sometime they will be coming very late. So, she was worried about that condition. So, situation. They said that they were caught in a storm and I have kept aside some fish for the family. I will auction the rest and the money that I get from the auction will be divided into 4 shares because it is based on a share. So, everybody will get according to their share. So, one each for each person who went fishing and the 4th one is for the equipment. Since we own the catamaran, engine and nets, we get that share too. So, we have taken a loan from a bank and purchased an engine which is fixed onto this catamaran. Now, they can go far into the sea so that they can get a better catch. So, with getting the loan, with taking a loan, so that they have made that the engine condition is good. So, only with a good condition of engine they can go to the sea and they can only collect the fish. So, it is a very difficult phase that they invest because it cannot be held by one person. So, rather they will take the share of multiple people with the share of contributions and given by the people in together with a group, and then they will go do kind of these activities of fishing explained by the Aruna here. So, women who buy fish here will carry them in basket to be sold in the nearby village. Then there are others like traders who buy for the shops in their town. So, I will only finish this auction by the noon. In the evening, my husband and our relative will untangle and repair our net. So, these are the activities which they mostly fishing related activities, that is the repairing of the boat will be done in the after the noon time. She will be mostly engaged in the auction related work of once the fish came. So, she will be part of that auction. Then early tomorrow morning around 2 a.m. So, that I told you that the husband, brother and brother-in-law usually will go to the sea very early morning, that is here given the time 2 a.m. they will set out to sea again. Every year for at least about 4 months during a monsoon they cannot go to the sea. So, in some particular season they may not be able to go to the sea because of the monsoon, because the condition is not good. So, the weather condition also affect the sea, also some has kind of an effect because of the waves. So, this is also depending upon that condition, and the weather climates also affect their job. So, it is also another kind of a job which they do seasonally. So, during monsoon time it will be very difficult for them to go to the sea, there will be restrictions, tolling will be there. So, because of this, when fish breeds during these months we survive by borrowing some from traders. So, they will again borrow money to sustain for this period which they cannot go to the sea. Because of this, later on we are forced to sell the fish to the trader which they borrowed money and cannot to do our auction. So, those like lean months, those lean months are most difficult time for them, and last year we suffered a lot because of the tsunami. So, sometimes if natural calamity happens like tsunami or cyclone, it directly affect their livelihood. So, this is an example which they have given example of another coastal village region in the Tamil Nadu. So, finally, they summarize like what are the rural livelihood mean by, and what are the activities which the people in the rural areas involved to earn a living. So, people in the rural areas earn their living in various ways. Some work on farm while others earn their living on non-farm activities. Working on farm involves operations such as preparing the land, sowing, weeding and harvesting of the crop. We depend on the nature of the growth of this group, hence the life revolve around certain seasons. The people are very busy during the sowing and harvesting and less so at the other time. So, rural people in different region of the country grow different crop. However, we do find similarity in their life and situation and their problem they face. How people are able to survive or earn will depending upon their land that they cultivate. So, many depending on the land for the work as labours. So, most of the farmer grow crops both for their own requirement and also sell in the market. Some have to sell the trade from which they have borrowed the money. So, same issue that we have earlier mentioned. So, some of them have very limited ownership of the land, very small land, somebody does not have any ownership of the land. All these are the factors that is resulted into the problem which they face, say, in their livelihood. Many in cases they borrow money from money lenders, the later they have to pay huge money. So, they will end caught up in a debt crisis. Finally, in some farmers commit suicide as well. So, there are some families in rural area which they thrive on large acres of land, business and other activity like Ramalinga story. However, most small farmers, agriculture laborers, fishing families, craft persons in the village do not find enough work to keep them employed throughout the year. So, this is an issue that we face in rural areas. Now, with this chapter, with this issue raised in the rural livelihood, that is majority of the people in rural area, that is 80% does not have any ways that is to earn their living in the rural area. So, this is a problem that the government has been identified, and through introducing different schemes, for example, Ncert scheme, that is Magnarega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, through providing 100 days of job, government is aimed for providing them a livelihood, because the agriculture activity, farm related activities are only seasonal based. So, other times, in other times they may not have any kind of job to earn an income and to sustain their livelihood. So, that is why the wage which they paid through this providing employment, 100 days of employment, government has launched an initiative like Ncert is an example that how government of India addressing the problems of the rural areas which they have a problem with respect to livelihood. So, this is the way that government directly or indirectly, similarly government also give like credit, like microfinancing institutions are created through providing microfinance assistance and credit assistance and linking into the banking institution. Government is also have different policy for crop assistance and Kisan schemes. All these schemes are targeting mainly for the rural section. So, when you study for the exam perspective, what is important means understand the issue that the people in the rural area face with respect to livelihood, and how the government of India addressing this problem that the rural people face with respect to livelihood, like the scheme like Ncert, Kisan credit schemes and Jan Arogya Yojana, Jan Dhan accounts which they can open, and similarly self-help group, the community activities that can be started. So, these are the way that government enhance and assist the rural sections of the people to address their problems of the poverty, economic deprivations and other ways in order to sustain their livelihood in a better way. So, this is aspect that you have to study for exam perspective. With that, I am ending the today's NCERT session of the chapter 7 rural livelihood, and we will come up with more classes of NCERT, and we have one more chapter in the 6th standard NCERT, that is urban livelihood. Similar to the rural livelihood, the next chapter will be urban livelihood, that will be covered in the next chapter, that is in the next class. Thank you for watching this video. We will see you then. Thank you. Bye.